Hey there, I'm Pat.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are Super Trellis. Welcome to the Super Trellis General Setup Guide. This guide has important information on how to set up your Super Trellis.
The information in this guide can be applied to common indoor species.
Check out our resources page for in-depth species-specific guides. Product overview. Packaging. Eco packaging that is compostable and it tears open easily. Open one pouch at a time to keep yourself organized.
Bases and stakes. Base parts fit into any size pot. Removable stakes accommodate sharp-angled planters.
Modular design. Hexagons snap onto each other and create a free-form honeycomb trellis. Build around your plant to support each leaf. As the plant grows, it will consume the trellis.
Awesome results. We include the results as a feature of our product. It works, and we're proud of it.
Packaging. The packaging is compostable. It's made from PLA and craft paper. PLA is compostable, but that doesn't mean that you can throw it in your yard and use it as fertilizer. Our packaging can be disposed of at your local composting facility. If you have a compost set up at home and you know you can break down the material, feel free to throw it in. This is one of those, if you know, you know.
Tear open. Rip open the package at the very top. Try and remove as little as possible for the next step. The package has a tear tab that makes it easy to open.
Don't throw away the package until you finish your work. The pouch is great for storing pieces for the future that you didn't use on this project.
Hexagons. Shape and size. The hexagon is elemental in life. It's everywhere in everything. Our hexagons are sized 4 inches by 3.5 inches, which is perfect size for vines. This leaves enough room for them to stretch out, but not so much that they become leggy and thin.
Most vines are moving all the time, very slowly. They rotate around in search of something solid to grow onto. When they contact an edge of a hexagon, they will begin wrapping around and growing toward the light source.
Symmetry. Each module is completely symmetrical. Each side is the same. This means you can connect any side to another. No need to worry about messing up this part.
Moving on to base parts, we have bases, which are approximately 3.5 inches wide. There are 2 holes in the bottom of the base parts for the stakes, and there are 2 points in the top of the base part to connect the hexagons.
Each stake is about 3.5 inches long, and the stakes will stick out of the bases by about 2 inches. You don't have to use both stakes if your pot won't accommodate them.
Using stakes. You have options when it comes to using the stakes. You can use 1 stake per base if you have a small pot with angled sides. Trim off the barbs of the stakes if they're pressing into the side of the pot. Most of the time, they will just snap right off.
Big pots. If you have a 10-inch pot or larger, you might consider burying the bases below the soil. Doing this will give you the sturdiest foundation possible. Over time, roots will grow around the bases and hexagons, and they'll become one.
Moving on to step number 1, the foundation of your trellis. Connect your bases and stakes and test fit them in the pot to make sure that you have enough space. It's okay if the bases hang out over the side of the pot if you've got soil high enough to cover most of the stake.
First row. It's usually best to attach the first row of your hexagons to the bases before pushing the stakes into the soil. This ensures that the bases are aligned properly and not crooked. Straight bases make a straight trellis.
If you're building an L-shaped trellis or a 4-sided totem, don't skip this step. Attach the bases, stakes, and corners before pressing the assembly into the soil. When pressing the assembly into the soil, use even pressure and avoid pressing too hard on one side at a time. A little wiggle back and forth should be enough to get the stakes to bite into the dirt.
Pressing in the stakes. Grip the bases and stakes at the same time. Pinch everything together and push straight down into the soil. Once the barbs of the stakes flex inward, the stakes will slide into the dirt easily. Over time, the barbs will spread out and anchor into the soil around the roots.
Step 2, build and weave. Connectors. The connectors press in and they twist out. You can use a crimp tool to rotate the connectors out if you need to remove them. Simply grip on and rotate it out.
For the hexagons, it's the same. You need to press in, but twist out. Grip each hexagon as shown if you need to disassemble anything. Press in, twist out.
Threading the vines. Gently grasp a vine and a leaf at the same time and feed it through the hexagon and move on to the next node. Take your time and be ready for the leaves to get snagged. Don't force anything or you might lose a leaf. Faces in or faces out. Flat side of the hexagon facing away from the vine, and the vine is going to end up behind the hexagon. Flat side of the hexagon facing the vine, and the vine is going to end up in front of the hexagon. This is going to alternate with each row as you work your way up the trellis.
Step 3, more weaving. Leaves up. Your goal is to get each leaf facing towards the light source. This isn't a hard rule, but definitely a guiding principle. Leaves will turn on their own over time, but you want to give them the best start possible.
No force. Let the vines tell you where they want to go. You can't force them to behave right away, but after 1 to 2 days, the vines will conform to their new shape and you can tighten up your trellis.
Let them breathe. It's okay to let the vines hang loose for a day or two. They've spent a lot of time in their current shape and you can't change them instantly. This can be a multi-day progression if you're patient. There's nothing wrong with going slow.
Soft ties. Soft ties can be used whenever you need them. They're a great tool to hold a vine just right during the process. This is great for vines that are heavy and need some extra support when you're just starting to work with them. You'll likely be able to remove these once the plant grows into the trellis over the first 2 weeks.
Step 4, the growth phase. New leaves. As the plant grows, new leaves will pop up. Guide the leaves and stems through the trellis, but don't assume they're going to obey right away. Point the stems where you'd like them to go and see what happens.
Hook the leaf. Once a leaf is fully unfurled, give it some time to harden up. Normally 2 to 3 days. Then hook the leaf on the next closest hexagon. It should rest here and the vine should continue growing to the next leaf. Remember, plants won't grow their leaves if their stems aren't stable. Unstable stems lead to vines that are thin and leggy.
Don't do this. Avoid wrapping a vine around a hexagon without another one connected. If a vine wraps around a hexagon by itself, you won't be able to snap on another one later. You'll need to unwind the vine, which can be tricky or stressful to the plant. You might even break off a few leaves.
This is another time where soft ties are very useful. Dealing with new growth, use a tie to hold a vine in place if you don't have a leaf to hook on to the hexagon. They can be removed periodically once the vine has anchored to the trellis. Once again, I'm Pat.
And I'm Lauren.
Thanks for checking out this guide, and remember, if you have any questions,
shoot me an email.
Have a good one.